just in case.
I walk through the old chemical plant prepared for anything. But what I expect, I do not find. What I find, however, is a remarkable landscape in decay, alluring and strangely beautiful in its dilapidation. Although unknown chemical odors drift by now and then, and the mystery of their composition worries me a bit. The next day I set off without Robert to look one more time for the beasts living amongst the ruins of Bucharest. Here a few blocks off a popular street, it's like another world. Syringes on the ground, a reminder that more than one inhabitant could be in these structures. But if there's something or someone here, they're hiding well. I feel, as I did in the chemical factory, the survivor of some catastrophic event that crumbled society and threw the world into a dystopian future. Some virus or plague finally overwhelmed us. A few dirty bombs collapsed the financial markets and chaos ensued. A person infected with poisonous dogma got their hands on the launch codes. It is over. But the truth is, there was a catastrophe. This is the land of broken down society. But I'm not the survivor. They are.
Strays. Bucharest has the worst problem in all of Europe. About 60,000 at last count.
Dogs that roam the streets, scavenging for food, slowly reverting back to their wild ancestry.
To understand the root of the problem, you have to go back in history to the days of communism.
The dictator Ceausescu demolished many homes with yards to make way for his massive public works projects, moving people into bleak housing units. The pets, not allowed to follow, were set loose on the streets. Since then, their population has grown. New dogs joining in lean economic times when families could no longer feed them. The number grew to a tipping point, and then it spilled over.
The controversy reaches fever pitch right here last September, where an old lady sits while her grandson wanders off. When she goes to look for him, she finds him mauled to death. This provokes the authorities to enact a killing law, saying all human lives are more valuable than dogs' lives. Now dogs get 2 weeks in a shelter, and if they're not adopted, euthanized.
The issue has attracted several NGOs to the city. Animal rights groups have galvanized worldwide. On an icy afternoon, I drive out to a rural neighborhood to visit one, reputedly the best NGO shelter in the game. Inside, the number of dogs is heartbreaking. I want to spread out attention to everyone, but I'm sadly aware that a small pet through the cage means little. These dogs need a home. The living conditions for most seem minimal, especially with a harsh winter quickly accelerating over the country. It's cold outside.
After that child was killed by strays in Bucharest, someone retaliated against this dog, hitting it in the face with an axe. Although I doubt it was directly involved in that attack. Huh? You're no killer, are you, huh? You're no killer, you're no killer.
The cold, it would seem, is not the only cross many of the dogs carry.
This poor little guy was actually shot. A couple people went into a field and started blasting away at dogs. One bullet went in the back and severed its spine, but got a set of Hot Wheels now, don't you, huh?
In the office, I try to get a grip on the issue.
Bucharest is famous for its stray dog population. What do you think the solution is?
Soluția este sterilizarea în masă și educarea populației. Să se limiteze abandonul și să se controleze înmulțirea animalelor.
What do you think of the city's catch, neuter, and release policy and the Bureau of Surveillance and Protection of Animals?
A fost o perioadă când se practica în București acest lucru. Se sterilizau câinii și se eliberau. Unii, alții nu. Pentru că iarăși e vorba de educația populației care trebuie să-și asume o răspundere în momentul în care hrănești un câine pe lângă bloc, trebuie să te îngrijești de el. ASPA este întreprindere de stat care practică ilegal și cu foarte mari avantaje financiare.
ASPA, the government office, is thoroughly vilified online. It's a common theme that they are profiteering off dog elimination.
Just to play the devil's advocate, what would you say to a person living in the city who's afraid of strays?
Un câine vagabond nu atacă, ori e flămând, ori e provocat, ori e hăituit, ori are niște amintiri cumplite în legătură cu relația lui cu oamenii.
So did the child just run into the wrong stray dogs? Like the Japanese tourist and the Romanian locals before him who were also killed? Or is there more to this story? I take my leave with no clear answers, but a growing understanding and curiosity.
Well, that was both fun and a little heartbreaking. With 600 dogs, they house about 1% of the city's stray population. You know, as humans, we have trained and domesticated dogs as a species to be loyal. And in exchange for their obedience, we give them love and care in return. And walking down these rows of shivering dogs with their pleading eyes, it makes me wonder if we haven't broken our end of the deal.
The next day, I visit another NGO with some unique ideas on how to handle the stray population, and equally bad words for the government's attempt.
So they perpetuate the stray dog problem to keep themselves in business.
So the main problem with this is corruption. This, as it is with other stuff happening in the country. This guy, which is the director, Băncescu, he used to be like a traffic controller or something. He has no background that would, or education that would recommend him for such a position. On the other hand, even though the institution's name it has the word animal protection in it, we were at this protest and I think George asked him, is this what you mean by protection? Because in the name it says Authority for Protection of Animals. And he said, yeah, right, we'll change the name.
Yeah.
In Romania, nobody wants to solve this problem. Killing, castrating, education, whatever, nobody wants to solve this problem. I'm talking about authorities.
Yeah, authorities, yeah.
Because for them, this problem means money, a lot of money.
Outside, the handlers walk me through some of the training they've done with the strays. A few cute tricks and gimmicks. It's a feel-good story to see these abandoned dogs back in the game.
So you took her from being just a stray who was maybe afraid of people, people were afraid of her, and then now she can work as a service dog. Milan? Hey, all right, up.
Oh,
There you go.
very nice.
Yeah. This dog was found on the street as a baby, just abandoned on the road. And now full-fledged trained service dog.
The organization later sent me these videos, with their trained strays assisting special needs children. And something seems to be working here, even if only on a very small scale. It isn't a viable solution for Bucharest's problem at large, but it is encouraging to anyone considering adopting a stray, an idea which needs to spread. My time in town is ending. I must soon push up into Moldova. But before I leave, I need that dog issue from one last perspective: the cities. Well, let's see what they have to say for themselves.
It's Friday morning, and I'm on dawn patrol with the Authority of Surveillance and Protection of Animals, the dog catchers.
I follow a long line of vans which patrol the neighborhoods as a team. When they spot the first dog, it happens fast. After the catch, I jump in the van with one of the team.
How many dogs today we captured?
20.
Maybe.
Honestly, the men come across like decent guys just doing a job. Most own dogs themselves. They do apply more force to the large, the aggressive, and the defiant, and it could be disturbing to watch. But I saw no deliberate abuse, and I even witnessed some affection.
The number of dogs is going down or go up? Down. Yeah. No, not many dogs. Yeah.
It's clean.
It's clean. You guys are cleaning it up.
We cruise to another neighborhood on a tip.
So the team is split up because we're in a gated community. So they're gonna flush the dogs this way and try to capture them. According to the animal rights activists, all the approachable dogs have already been snagged. So now you're dealing with the dogs that are super evasive, have a longer flight distance. All the dogs come here. And then
Catching turns out to be more tricky than I suspected. And I'm not sure how involved I really want to get here.
that dog came right our way, but what am I gonna tackle a stray dog? For what? It's a tough game. Even with 4 vans packed with guys, it's hard to catch one dog.
All over the city, without fail, we find strays, big and small. The animal's condition often telling of their story.
The dog had a collar on, and the fur looked pretty clean. Like a runaway or a lost dog, or if it was abandoned recently. I hope it wasn't somebody's pet, though. That would be pretty sad.
And everywhere, there were citizens pitching in opinions. Some were encouraging of the effort, many were not.
You can see the tension both sides there. These dogs roam the neighborhood, people feed them, they feel attached to them, and then the dog catchers take them away. It's like they're losing a friend, sort of.
After a full morning, I take my leave. The team will go on to grab 66 dogs today, what they consider a small catch. I don't envy these guys at all, doing a tough, unrewarding job, cleaning up a mess someone else made and taking a lot of abuse for it. Honestly, they seemed as genuine as the NGO employees, just under a different command with a different directive. If there is corruption, it's coming from the top. So to the top, I go. OSPA's humble office sits somewhere between the charities. A little better than one, not as spiffy as the other. Inside, I meet Razvan Bancescu, head honcho, and I hit him immediately with the accusations.
They say you take the dogs, you tag them, as if they are neutered, but you don't really neuter them and you release them back on the street.
No. In my program, no one dog, even one dog, go outside only if are neutered.
So you're saying every dog that you capture gets neutered?
If the dog is not neutered, it's going to the sun better.
Okay, goes to a shelter.
No, to the forever shelter.
St. Peter, I got it.
Razvan goes on to make a strong case that the corruption is coming from an unlikely suspect.
And this is a chart of the number of NGOs and the amount of money they're making, right? So over the years, there are more and more NGOs coming into town and they're making more and more money. They're saying you don't want to solve the problem, but you're saying they don't want to solve the problem because it keeps them in curry.
I'm a project manager. I want to finish and go to the next project.
Evidently, Razvan has been meticulously building up a case against his antagonist, and he is eager to have an audience.
So you cleared this area of all big dogs.
Yes.
2 to 3 days later, it's full of big dogs.
Maximum a week.
Where did they come from?
Transported by the NGO.
So the NGOs are re-releasing dogs into the city.
Yes, we have this situation.
Do you have any footage of this happening? Did you ever catch them releasing dogs?
No. When you see a lost dog or a discharged dog, the difference is the bedding is totally different. The position of the neck.
Aspa even has infrared video to support their allegations.
So that's a dog that's not from this area.
No.
The entire argument is fairly convincing. But how about those dogs we caught today? The rubber meets the road at the pound. I've seen the NGO's shelter. Now I want to see the city's. This is reputedly one of the city's worst facilities. And yet, the dogs are completely sheltered and have heating. Not what I expected.
The dogs we brought in today, what are their options? What's their future like?
First option for them is the adoption. They can be adopted by the NGOs or by people, the normal people. If they are not adopted, they are scheduled for euthanasia.
For euthanized?
Yes.
Although the facility is the best I've seen, it's still a sad environment. Man's best friend, abandoned and on borrowed time. At this stage of the game, you can't just put these dogs back on the street. Neither New York, nor Paris, nor Buenos Aires, nor Hong Kong would do it. But the citizens of those cities would certainly take action to make this kind of cleanup unnecessary.
So you're encouraging that people come and adopt these dogs?
To neuter the dog or to be responsible to not leave the dog on the street. Only in this way we can reduce the number of euthanasia.
In the Pound's office, I'm invited to look through the paperwork.
Yeah, it looks like you run a pretty tight ship here. You got the information of the driver coming in, the type of dog,
Yes.
a list of all the neutered dogs that get adopted. You've got contracts with the owners of the adoption dogs,
With all data, with
and you've got a folder for every cage in there and all the dogs and all their information.
If there is corruption here, they have gone to great depths to hide it from me. Before I leave, Razvan wants to show me one more thing. He claims I have not seen the worst of the NGO shelters. We drive outside of the city's jurisdiction on the outskirts of Bucharest. The guys insist we stay inside the car and keep the windows rolled up as we move down an unmarked dirt road. And out there on the frozen ground, sitting like a labor camp, a massive chain-link facility, partially obscured from inspecting eyes.
So there's 400 dogs in there. They seem mostly out in the open in this frozen landscape. And this NGO's made €1 million in total, more or less. So basically, they're in the dog selling business, stray dog selling business. Getting money from charity, people who feel sorry for the dogs with good intentions, and also reselling the dogs on the open market in Europe to who knows whom or what industry.
As we drive off, I feel more convoluted than ever. I've sat down with the people on both sides of the fence who showed me warm hospitality, who seemed genuine in their mission. I heard a lot of accusations, and I've seen 3 facilities ranging from humane to grim. Perhaps someone was deceiving me. Maybe I failed to ask the right questions. I may not have met the worst players in this game.
I believe most people trying to resolve this issue have a good heart, but having the right intentions doesn't mean you're doing the right thing, even if it feels good. I made 2 mistakes myself, feeding strays and entirely believing the negative press about the government's solution. Bucharest has unique historical roots to the problem, but now the blame must be owned collectively, like many cities in the world. Mahatma Gandhi said, "Roving dogs do not indicate compassion and civilization in society. Instead, they betray the ignorance and lethargy of its members." And while stray dogs wait to die in pounds in Bucharest, Mexico City, and Detroit, pet shops like the one behind me have no trouble finding new business.